All right, hey there, good Saturday afternoon. It is 1:09 right now as we are firing up the stream here, firing it up on YouTube, Facebook, also on our digital platforms, our app, Roku, all that good stuff. I know the Browns game is on right now. It's the first quarter just started, but check it out right here behind me. You can see it is raining. Of course, they will play in rain, but as soon as there's lightning around, that's when you start to see some more of the concerns. It's raining pretty good. People are hustling in. There's a shot of the Muni lot right there. What a day, right? What a Saturday. It's a football game in Northeast Ohio, so we got to have some sort of Mother Nature, don't we? Well, here we go. This is why I'm firing up the stream. This is the real issue, the real deal. What I'm talking about. This severe thunderstorm warning fired up just a little bit ago. This storm moving through Menor, moving through Lake County. Also one developing near the Hudson area. These storms are strong. They're growing fast. Now we're going to dive into them. There's not a ton of lightning with them, honestly, but we're going to dive into each one of them. Also, this line stretching from Medina through Strongsville. This has the potential for yes, heavy rain and frequent lightning. But let's dive into it, and we'll see what else it has the potential for. Probably wind and hail. We'll turn our velocity scan on really quickly. I'll turn the lightning off so we can see what's going on. And it looks like this storm, yeah, there it is, right there near Brunswick, just to the west of Brunswick. We can dive into that right there. And we're looking at winds at about 30 miles per hour. Would not be surprised if we've got some stronger wind gusts in there as well. Right now, 30 to 40. Those could easily pop up. They're strengthening. That's why there's a warning, because we have strengthening storms, and they could get upwards of around 60 miles per hour. You can hear the rain right out here on our back parking lot. There's some pretty heavy rainfall. It's coming down in buckets. We just showed you that live camera. Right now downtown there is no severe thunderstorm warning, but there is a there we go, just heard some thunder here, so there is some lightning around the area. All right, so let's keep an eye on this. Again, if you're watching the game right now, that's what the banner is. That's what the bottom scrolling is there. It's not impacting the game or anything like that, of course. At the very bottom, it's not going to have any issues, but there's your thunder. There's your, if you are watching the game, which I do have it on the corner here, they are heading inside. It'll be brief. This line will roll through, and things will get better. Things will get much better. Rachel, you're welcome. You are very welcome. Man, Mike, settle down. Relax. The NFL cares. That's why they're off the field now and are going to a weather delay. So, sorry you don't like the strip on the bottom. It's not in the way of anything. It's not covering anything up, and it's just keeping people safe, letting everybody know what's going on. So yeah, here we are. Here we are on Facebook and YouTube, streaming it out for you. This is Paynesville right now. Let's zoom in on this section right here, because this is the oldest portion, the first warning right here, pushing from out of Menor through Concord. Next little update. The strongest part of this storm right here, where all the lightning is offshore. Is up here. So this is essentially what we're watching try to slide on up and out of here. This is not nearly as strong, and there's not as much lightning with it either. Let's turn the velocity on with it. There's not even a whole lot of wind with it. As far as hail, I wouldn't expect much. Yeah, the large hail is offshore. So this warning right here for Lake and into Ashtabula County, actually not even quite into Ashtabula County, because here's the county line right here. So it does not include Ashtabula County, but this is the storm right here, and this is the bulk of it that's just offshore. So that warning will probably be either canceled or just let expire, because the bulk of that is just to the north. I'll put this in motion for about 30 minutes here, for the last 30 minutes, and we can see how it's just building up and out of here. So that's not going to be an issue. This warning will be allowed to expire, if not cancel. Let's see here. The warning goes until 1:15 for another 2 minutes. So that's just gonna expire. This portion right here, there's some heavy rain with this. There's definitely some heavy rain with this. And what they're doing is, the front's still way west. So what it's doing is it's got so much fuel. It was sunny. It was warm. It's been really nice for the last several hours after last night's thunder rolled through. And you can see with this one right here, just pushing near Hiram. Let me slide this over a little bit. See how it kind of builds up? Watch this thing right here. Just kind of build. The last couple scans, or the last 30 minutes, that was strong. And then it just rains itself out. Downpour, over, and then it's done. And that's going to eat the fuel for this next line that's right here behind it from Strongsville to Streetsboro. Right along, what is that, 480 essentially? Yeah, 271 goes that way, so 480 right here to Streetsboro near the turnpike and everything. That is some heavy rain right in there, maybe even some large hail. Not a whole lot of wind with it. The last couple scans didn't show much wind. It might develop into some more wind, but not really seeing a whole lot as far as like damaging wind. There's definitely wind with it, but as far as damaging wind, it's just not there. There's the issue for the warning. Right there where that cluster, where those brighter returns were. Let's pause this for us. Put a quick scan on it for us. Probably 1 inch hail. Yeah, 1 inch hail just north of Hudson, just rolling right through toward like Streetsboro. Right along the turnpike. Man, that's not great. Right along the turnpike. That's probably near zero visibility. All right, let's spread back to this one because this one is still growing. Look at that. You see the pinks and purples in there? That's some strong thunderstorm activity. You got one cluster right there. You got one cluster right here, and then another cluster up here near Berea. Now here's downtown. That heavy rain just rolled on through. That's going to slide on out. We'll put the lightning on because that's what the delays are for. There's no severe thunderstorm warning for downtown Cleveland where the Browns game is. There's no warning for that, but that lightning around the area will cause the delays. So that's what they are stopping down for, I'm sure. I'm not in the booth with them, but they're using our radar also. We're actually partners with them. So working in tandem with them. We're getting them, keeping them safe, keeping everybody in the stands safe as well. Let's zoom in on this. Let's put a track on it because that's what we want to know, right? We want to know what it's doing. Had a couple, Angela, thank you. JJ, thank you. Yeah, Browns game suspended. Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to get into your forecast questions coming up in a little bit here. I'm going to roll through this radar real quick while I have some warnings, just so we can keep everybody up to date on what's going and where this is going. This was 30 minutes ago. That's what it looked like. It was approaching Grafton, Belden. Now, it's made its way. It's slid all the way to Strongsville, Brunswick, and Medina. So this line essentially has grown to this large and has moved, let's see here, in 30 minutes it's moved, what, 12 miles? 12 miles, so it's going about 20, it's pretty slow. We'll estimate it at 30 miles per hour. We'll estimate it at about 30. I'll put a line on the leading edge of this because it is still growing, so it might speed up a little bit. Put it right at about 30. It puts it in, I'll put this on the other side of me. I'll put this back in the area where it's doing fine, where there's nothing back here. There's still some thunder, but I'll put this box back here. Puts it in Hinckley at 121 in about 2 or 3 minutes here, pushing into Hinckley. So sliding across Medina County. North Royalton, 121, same time. Broadview Heights, just a couple minutes after that at 125. Same for Seven Hills. Granger at 127. Independence, that whole area, Independence, Brecksville, essentially that 77 corridor, you're going to see that right at about 130. So in about 10 or 12 minutes here because it is 118 right now. Beyond that, puts it in Richfield. A few minutes after that, Valley View 133, Bath at 135, Maple Heights at 135-ish, right around there as well, 136. That's the heaviest rain. You're going to have some showers out ahead of it. In Hinckley, you already have some showers. But things should be settling down with that. Yeah, there's that warning. Exactly what we thought. That warning up in Lake County. This has been allowed to expire because the bulk, the damaging part, the potential, the strongest part is up over the lake. If you were watching Good Morning Cleveland this morning, I was talking about these waves rolling through. Expected a wave right around midday. This is it. It's a little larger than some of the models were showing, and it makes sense. It makes sense because it cleared out after that morning round of thunder rolled through in the middle of the night, right? 4 to 6 a.m. Everything cleared out, and so there's a lot of fuel. It has been beautiful. It's been warm. It's been sunny. The heat and the humidity is fuel for these thunderstorms to grow. Now, the good news is, with this being as large as it is, with this taking up as much fuel as it is, I mean, we're looking at the next round here. Look at it. It's way back here in Toledo. It's 100 miles away, so that's about 3 hours away. Now, are we going to have enough time to destabilize in 3 hours, to grow the heat back, to get the humidity back? Not as much as if we didn't have these storms, so I do expect those to still be strong, but not as strong as they would be if these storms weren't building right here. Man, they're building quick, though. That is some heavy rain. Let's dive back into it. We'll go to look at one of these tower cams and show you. If you want to watch the game, they're in a delay right now. They're watching some highlights, training camp insiders and stuff like that. But the game right now, it's not raining. Everybody's still filtering in. People are still trying to get into the parking lots there. They're walking in, and they're not holding umbrellas, rain jackets. That's it. Got the good time out there in the water. That's good news for the rest of the game. Great news, but it is delayed for right now. All right, with that being said, let's see what we can do here. Let's see if we can show you a model that'll take you through the rest of the day today. What's up, dude? Drink? No, I'm good. I appreciate it, though. I've got coffee and water ready to go. I haven't had any reports of damage or anything like that, so as far as like the news coverage aspect of this, until we get damage. If you see any damage with some of these storms, of course, in the feed here, we've got producers and everybody that are monitoring it. So if you do see any, go ahead and put it in that feed, and we can check in on it. All right, so here we are. Models for the rest of the day today, at least for the rest of the afternoon. Shows that cluster. Man, it's doing great with this, with the timing with this. Oh, but it's not updating. Let's see if we can do this. Sorry, bear with me for a second. See if we can update this. So there goes the line. There goes the thunderstorms. Second line rolling in. See that line that was pushing through Toledo? Now again, don't take this for certain, but that second line rolls in about 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours after this initial line tries to pull through. And it's showing it, here we go, because these storms are using a lot of this fuel, it's showing it stronger south where the storms aren't yet. So that first wave that's rolling through now is likely going to eat a lot of the fuel and allow these thunderstorms to get a little bit stronger, a little more untouched air. And then should be pulling out of here this evening and overnight. So that's great news. It's really good news. Let's get back over to the radar, show you where we are. There's still a couple thunderstorms, Holmes County, Coshocton County pushing into Tuscarawas County. There's some lightning with it as well. Not a ton. There's not a whole lot of activity with it, but there's still some pretty good lightning with it. The reason I'm doing this stream right now is for the, it's for the lightning. It's for the lightning, and it's for the warnings that you're seeing out right there. Crazy enough to think that it doesn't matter how much lightning there is. The warnings are only for hail and wind. There could be one strike with this, but if there's 1 inch hail, the National Weather Service is going to issue a warning. A lot of lightning. There's a leading edge with this. There's a couple little waves with this embedded in this. So, first one, we're showing some signs of weakening. Remember how it kind of pulsed up, had some hail with it, and then it weakened? That's it right there, pushing into Manaway, Silo, just through Hudson. Actually, that was the initial round right there. That was the initial one right there that kind of faded away. This one's going right on the heels of it, and it's still pretty strong. It's not necessarily, I'm going to be real here, the warnings are for the potential for 1 inch hail. The only area where we have, and there we go, there's the update with it, it does look like it weakened. And that's kind of what I was just getting ready to say before it updated on us. This area right here near Streetsboro, the only area that had the potential for some large hail was like Hudson over to Streetsboro. This whole line is showing signs of trying to weaken. A, there's less lightning with it, and B, it just doesn't look nearly as impressive. We'll have to watch just around like Aurora, through like Hiram. So Twinsburg, Aurora, Hiram, essentially with all that lightning in there. We'll watch a couple scans with that. I'll turn the velocity on here and see if there's any indication of big wind. And I'm just not seeing it with that cluster. I am seeing it back near Brunswick. I am seeing it back. It's still not damaging. I mean, it's probably bending trees over. You've probably got some pretty strong wind with that, but gusts to 35 or 40, that's not necessarily damaging. Look at that. And this is going to show signs. All right, so because this radar, the storm is right over the radar here, it's not really showing us a whole lot of what's going on in it. Again, that radar is very low right here, and it's not shooting up into that storm, so we don't necessarily know if it has or what it has up in it. But we have another product here that has a good idea, essentially, and kind of can go with a couple different little algorithms, little equations that can tell us, looking into it, where it thinks there's some large hail, and there's the potential for it. There's a potential for some pretty large hail in there, pushing from Berea over toward Parma, so along 480 on the west side through the Cleveland Metro. The Browns game in a delay is not because of a severe thunderstorm warning. It's from the lightning. It's from that cluster that just rolled through. They got to wait. I don't know the exact rules, but whenever you have football games and baseball games or anything like that, pool, stuff like that, essentially it's like a 30 minutes after the last rumble of thunder or the last lightning strike. That's when they get back out there. Again, football players can play in the rain. That's not a big deal. Is Cleveland going to be okay? Yeah, feel free to comment. Feel free to chime in. I'll try to read in. I'll try to keep up with a lot of this stuff. But is Cleveland going to be okay? Absolutely. Cleveland's going to be good. Watch this line. This is trying to show some signs of strengthening, but after that, there's a break behind it. So you've got, if you're asking questions about Elyria, I saw Elyria said it's fine. Lorain County looks pretty good. Avon, Oberlin, Pittsfield, Wellington, that's not bad at all. All right, let's see here. Is Euclid okay? All right, Real Asher, I got you. Spamming the chat there. Euclid, heavy rain. You're in it right now. There's no warnings. There's no warnings for Euclid for northern Cuyahoga County. I know Euclid has Rock the Block going on. Ooh, is it 2 o'clock yet? In like 30 minutes here, right? From 2 to 11, I think it is today. There's your thunderstorm. After we get through this, you've got hours of dry time before our next wave rolls in. So that's good news with that. That's good news with that. Is Euclid okay? Yes, Euclid's okay, but there is heavy rain and quite a bit of lightning right around Euclid, so just be safe. Is there a tornado risk for today? William Knight. Yes and no. Not a big threat, honestly. I don't think there's a huge threat. Each one of these lines, especially later on today, once they develop into a larger line, there is the potential. There's not a lot of shear. You need shear is like spin in the atmosphere, so it's not necessarily like a typical supercell kind of setup where these storms are going to grow and they're going to be spinning or anything like that. I'm more so interested as far as like this line right here. Over the next couple of hours, as we try to dry things out and heat things up and destabilize again our west region here, this could grow into a larger line. And as it settles in here, it's like on a river. If you just on the sides of the river's flowing on the sides of the river, you get those little spin ups, those little eddies. That's kind of what it is. So you'll get a big line like this that rolls in here, and on the edges of these little portions, you'll get like a little inflow. And long story short, weak, brief EF0s, 1s, stuff like that. I wouldn't expect much, but it's a possibility. It's a potential when you start talking about squall lines trying to develop. There's a warning. There we go, just south of Toledo. Look at that. That's in that heat. There's a lot of heat. The SPC in Norman's probably going to issue a watch if they haven't already issued a watch. Let me see if, yeah, okay, there it is. There's that watch. meaning the conditions are there. The atmosphere is ripe. You've got the heat, you've got the humidity, and we got the trigger to spark up these storms. So this is in effect until, get my head out of the way, until 9 o'clock this evening. So kind of exactly what our models just showed you. So it's not just me. It's everybody thinking the same thing. All right, let me turn the watch off because that yellow is a bit too much. We are all under a severe thunderstorm watch.
You think there'll be a window for the Browns to get the whole game in?
Yes, yes. Sam, producer extraordinaire, over in the sides there, asking about the Browns. If I think they're going to have the Browns are going to have a window to get the game in. Absolutely, absolutely. Once this lightning is through Cleveland, they're going to start warming up again. They're going to start. I mean, they're probably staying warmed up, in the locker rooms right now. But there's just one cluster left over. So here's the field, the stadium, Huntington Bank Field. Here's our lightning. It is the leading or the tailing edge of this. Let me see if I can do this for you. 30 miles per hour. The tailing edge of this storm right here to push through Cleveland is about 20 minutes away. So 20 minutes and then probably another 30 after that. So in about an hour, they'll probably get playing a game. That puts it at 2:30. So it should be gone by then. Maybe it's sooner than that, but it's all up to them. Yeah. Forecasting the weather is one thing, but then forecasting the decision makers' decision making, that'll get you in trouble. That'll get you in trouble. Whenever you start talking about like the Guardians games, or are they going to do this, or are they going to do that? It's the same people looking at the same things I'm looking at, trying to make their own decisions. So it's tough. Yes, sir.
Can I borrow you for 1 second?
We're live.
Oh, yeah.
Streaming. What's up?
We would like to see if we can stream you and talk back with the truck.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a way for us to contact your phone?
Yeah.
IFB-wise?
I don't have a. Let me get a dongle.
Yeah, or just tell me what you need. You just need
Can
a
you
USB-C.
route it through IFB? I've got the IFB on in
They
case.
got to dial into us, and we don't really have a way to do that direct.
There's a dongle in the. Yeah, if you got a dongle, there's one at ingest, or you just go get the ingest phone fired up and then bring it to me and I can plug it in.
And then I will.
Ingest phone. Just use the ingest phone.
And just have me use
Yep.
the ingest?
Yep.
Got it.
That works. Cool. So as we're out here talking about the same stuff, the same questions you guys are having right now, which is always, everybody has the same questions. What about my town? When's it going to pull out of here? And all this good stuff, right? The folks at the NFL have the same questions. The crews and the trucks that have the broadcast going on right now, they want to know as well. Well, the warnings for wind and hail, which I don't see much wind out there, but I do see the potential for hail as we zoom in on some of this activity, maybe some small hail, and that's weakening as well. So here's kind of this really playing out exactly as we were expecting, right? We looked at this. We watched these lines roll through. It eats up a lot of the fuel. So this line back here doesn't have nearly as much fuel because it's messed with the flow essentially on the leading edge of it. So this is showing signs of weakening. We can see that with the lack of lightning as well, less lightning. So that's essentially what's going on. Let's see if we can put this in motion. This is your current radar over the last 30 minutes, and that's essentially where it's headed. And we're showing it rolling over the areas that have already been rained on, already been worked over. So that's good news for this activity because it should show signs of weakening. The activity just to the east of that, pushing near like Hiram, Twinsburg, Manaway, a lot of lightning. Still, there's nothing out in front of it. This cluster that has kind of weakened. Well, watch this a little bit. Could influence this growth right here. But look at that burst of lightning just near Manaway. Let's check that out. That's a strengthening portion, a strengthening spot of that storm. We can zoom in on it just a little bit here. Turn the velocity on, not seeing much in the way of wind with it yet. There's some gusts out there. Let's see if we can put a quick scan on it. Yeah, 35. I'm not seeing much more than 40, and that was the same stuff that we had this morning. Ryan, yeah, what's keep it moving, just not stuck in the current state? The radar, it gets a bit taxing, honestly, and a little bit confusing for most viewers if it's just moving like that. I do kind of put it back and forth just so I can see what's going on with the trends with it. But yeah, absolutely. Keep watching. We definitely go into motion with it, and we definitely stop it and pause it to put timing on it and everything like that. But yeah, so there it is. Manaway, you've got some purples in there just to the north, which could lead to some hail and some gusty winds with it as well. And heavy rain and lightning. That's most of it. So if you're watching along right here, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and the folks at the NFL who are our partners would like some information as well. They're in the truck right now. It's dumping on us right now here downtown. There's that heavy rain pushing right over the stadium. So Huntington Bank, as far as lightning is concerned, that's the biggest threat. With this heavy, all right, so look at this bottom. Can you see the bottom part of it right there? Next cars that kind of come through there, you're going to see some big splashing, some big puddles, big ponding on the roads. I'm ready whenever they are, if they want to. Okay.
One moment.
Okay. Do you know who it is? Is it?
Don't know.
Okay. Heavy rain. Let's dive into it. Man, they're getting dumped on. Hello, this is Trent. It's Joe Thomas and Joel Petonio.
Okay, very good.
I can hear them talking. I don't know if they can hear me talking. So you guys are going to see a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on right here. There's a lot of activity, a lot of stuff that's going on when there's severe weather going on, a lot of decisions that are being made. And even if it's not severe weather right now downtown, this portion right here, look at it fade. There's not much with it. So I'm going to say if you're in that warning near Parma, Berea, Strongsville, Richfield, Bath, you've got heavy rain, but things are definitely fading away. Twinsburg, Solon, Hudson, you're in the clear with that. This is something I'm watching closely, though.
They're going to go to break, and then they're going to test with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Look at those last couple scans near Hiram. Last couple scans. So this did grow, had all that lightning with it, still has a bunch of lightning with it. But you see that little purple that just popped up in the last couple seconds and then went away? Near Manaway? So that's essentially hail up in the storm. The radar's looking at it, saying there's a lot going on in there. So that's essentially hail. Now that being said, you go to now, see how it's gone? It's moved off toward Hiram. See how it's faded away a little bit? So that's good news. It's not growing anymore. So they have a 15-minute. I'm listening to the Browns crew right now. At the end of Thunder, they have a 15-minute kind of window to warm up. I don't want to get too stuck in, but I do want to keep an eye on this activity there. Oh, do you want me to do that for him? If you're watching the feed right now, you've got Joe Thomas doing the weather right now on News 5. Good stuff. Good stuff. We can smile with it now, of course, because it's lightning and it's thunder. There's no severe weather with it. There's no big hail, and the wind isn't that strong downtown Cleveland. And it is fading away elsewhere. 71 corridor is getting better. 77 doesn't look too bad.
He said they're going to go to break, and then they're going to
Okay.
come back to it.
Cool. There's a blanket warning for that, as we're talking about that heavy stuff rolling through, just getting pounded right through Cleveland. There's a blanket warning for East Cuyahoga County, Lake, Northern Geauga, and Ashtabula County. We're going to look into it. There's not much wind with it. Let's see if we can dive and try to find some indication. There's up to 50, so there's some strengthening there. Again, 60 miles per hour, that's what we're looking for. I do think, again, you're seeing some purple mixed in with that near Shaker Heights, Warrensville Heights. Had a couple questions about Euclid. After this passes, you should be much better. But for right now, Shaker Heights, you've probably got some pretty big hail, at least dime size, potentially quarter size. It's up to quarter size hail with these storms as they roll in here. There's just not a whole lot of wind with it, which is a little concerning. I would expect there to be a little more wind with this, but strong storm. So there's that line that's fading away, this warning out here. Sorry there's so much disconnection. There's a lot going on in my ear right now. This area, probably not gonna see any more severe weather, at least with this wave. The next wave coming our way in a few hours, absolutely got another shot. This right here is the cluster that's strongest right now. Look at all that lightning with it. So this is sliding out of here. Parkman, Nelson, north of Shalersville. We'll zoom in on it again. Look at this back here to the south too. Can't get too close, can't get too zoomed in and forget about Medina to Worcester. Look at that little development. So that's good news there. More storms, and it's just going to eat this fuel out behind it. There's another little cluster just pushing through or into like Huron County. A little bit of lightning with it. Next line is a few hours behind it in Toledo, as far as like the areas that are getting it right now. As far as this blank space right there, you do have some hours to fade away. Man, heavy rain. And we're starting to see some signs, starting to see a little bit of bowing with a little bit of this. So we might get some stronger wind with this. South Euclid, you're going to look for little areas like, here's Euclid, South Euclid, Beechwood, Maple Heights. I saw a question in the chat about Mayfield Heights. This is coming towards Mayfield Heights. You don't have much time. Again, here's that 271 corridor. Is that right? Yeah, here's that sorry, we get zoomed in like this and there's so much stuff going on. It gets a little confusing to be in there, but yeah, 271 corridor is right here. That's that. There's the potential for that wind. Let me show you velocity with this. It's just not showing much. Just not showing a whole lot. A little bit of feedback, a little bit of radar interference, but it's still there. All right, any questions or anything? I will try to answer as many questions as I can. They're going to go to break. We're going to have to do a couple little tests in here really quickly. Let me Let me send a quick text really quickly and see if... All right. Maddie, in Cleveland right now, is it bad? Well, there's no warning for Cleveland, Maddie, so that's the good news. There is quite a bit of lightning. The heavy rain is just pushed, or the strongest portion of it, the most amount of lightning, frequent lightning, is just to the east of Cleveland. So, Maddie, if you're in downtown Cleveland right now, it's not awful. Lightning's not good. Any lightning is not good, but the severe weather is south and east of you. So that's the good news. And then after that, you get some time to break out. When do you think the next line of rain will reach the west side of the Cleveland area? It'll be a couple hours. It'll be a couple hours. Hey, Chris. Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Great, great. Same here. I saw Joe trying to figure out the radar just a little bit ago. You guys want some help? That's awesome. All right, so while we're doing this, this is kind of a multicast thing. We're going to be on News 5. We're going to be on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're also on our app. We're also on our Roku digital channels, all that good stuff. So this is essentially everywhere. So you're seeing kind of what you're watching right here, you're seeing kind of a behind-the-scenes mixture of everything. That was just a microphone check. They're going to ask, we're going to talk for a little bit here about the forecast for essentially the rest of the day, most likely, and for the Cleveland area. So if you guys have any reports, send me some reports. So yeah, feel free to fill this chat up. Let me know where you are. Sorry, I got to be a little quieter for right now, so I'm trying to listen with them. But I'll keep the radar on behind me here so you guys can see what's going on. The two biggest focuses, the two biggest areas of concern, it's not these right here. It's this, that right there. I'm trying to push on out of here. I'm doing all right. On a day like today where the Browns are in a delay, I don't get many rounds of applause with this, so I appreciate that one, guys. Right? Seriously. And I did like when I saw Joe Thomas and Joel out there drawing on the radar here. Let me do it from a professional standpoint, guys. What you were doing, what you guys were saying was good, was absolutely right here, all right? So here's the line. Here's this break behind it. If you're looking for Cleveland, you're waiting for this to slide on out of here, the severe weather, meaning the large hail and the wind, that's not going to impact the stadium. It's not going to impact downtown Cleveland for a while. It's east. It's sliding out. You're going to notice the rain backing off pretty quickly, and the thunder, even though, I mean, look at that. There's 170 strikes with this cluster and this one behind me right here, which is pretty strong, and we'll talk about that. But this cluster right there, there's a ton of thunder and lightning with that. It's sliding east. It's getting out of here. I heard you guys talking a little bit ago about a time limit for this. I think we're on the shorter end of any time limits. We're just waiting for thunder to get out of here, right? The lightning is the issue. No, you guys are great. I think you guys did great. Even you look at the radar. Come on, we all looked at the radar, and I know anybody who I mean, he's a farmer, right? Raising beef. Don't get me wrong here. Joel Batonio, he's been outside a lot, right? I know you guys are two huge outdoorsmen, but this is it. You look at the radar. You're looking for the reds, and you're looking for the greens. If you want good weather, you look for where it's not at, and you look for where it's going. I'll put it in motion. Grade you guys. I'll give you guys an A+ because you can see that it's getting out of here. You guys aren't saying wrong stuff. A little bit. I was about 100 pounds until I turned 16, so I didn't play a whole lot. I wrestled more so. Right, yeah, that's right. That's where I stayed. When are we going fishing, man? It depends on, I mean, I don't know necessarily what y'all's rules are as far as lightning is concerned and the distance from it. So let me put a quick track on it. I mean, lightning can strike pretty far away. So if you need like a 10, 15 mile buffer, I'd give it probably another 30 minutes before you're there. And then if you want another 15, 20, 30 for that for the warm up, I would say 2:30 probably realistically around there, maybe a little sooner. I think so. Real quickly, I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but let me zoom out just so I can show you when the next wave's coming in. There's a little bit of rain out ahead of it, but it's in Toledo. Like it's a few hours away, 2 or 3 hours away, so yeah. How much you got, man? No, there's no amount. Right? Sounds good. I'll be here. All right, I'm going to hang up on them real quick. Cool. You can have this back. Should I keep it here just in case?
There in case they call you back.
And will you let, I guess Bordy knows I have it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. Let's get back to work. Here. All right, so back into the comments here. Really quickly, I want to dive into this because I know that took about 5 or 10 minutes. And if you're asking for questions and if you're tuning into the stream, you want to know what's going on. But you're probably going to have some, I mean, as soon as I get off talking with them, you see a cluster like this guy right here. This little pop-up right there. The lightning, that's the biggest concern. I don't expect severe weather in Cleveland anymore, but I do expect a couple more rumbles, which is a concern. This has weakened, still a lot of lightning with it, but it is showing signs of weakening. We were zooming in on it. We're doing this together, right? We're in on it. You're giving me reports, you're asking questions, and I'm trying to answer them as quickly as possible. Thanks for being patient. But we're looking at this storm right here. Before we were talking to the guys, this was not showing big wind, maybe a 50-mile-per-hour wind gust with this cluster out here. The risk was for hail. Let's zoom in on it. Let's show you why there's no warning and why the tan box right there, that's just like a special weather statement essentially for this storm. I honestly think there's probably still some hail in there just north of Hiram. See that purple? That right there? That's Parkman, Nelson. That's still a strong portion. We'll go to wind. There's not a bunch of wind with it. I can even put this is storm relative, so you can even put a 30-mile-per-hour wind out ahead of that line, which isn't a whole lot of wind. Probably going to see some stronger gusts. Where there is still a warning, this is what's pretty important here. Put the velocity on it. we're going to look at some signs, look at some indications essentially, and try to look into this leading edge here, try to find some of the higher values. There's not much wind with this line, which is great, right? Which is fantastic. You throw on our threat detector essentially, and where you're seeing these purples in here, when you get to the next color of purple, this is the first color of purple, the lowest level of hail, probably pea to dime size hail. That's what we're looking at, pea to dime size hail, ½ inch. When you get up to that next color, that next pink in there, that's when you're talking about the potential for like quarter size hail, 1 inch. 1 inch diameter hail, that can do some damage. There's just so much lightning. Man, is there lightning. There's so much lightning with that. So that definitely warrants some good watching. This looks better. Folks should leave in the stadium. There's that blue sky. Come on now. There's that blue sky coming over. Awesome. Awesome. Unfortunately, not awesome. Awesome for the game, but not awesome because that's going to allow us to heat up and give us some more fuel for the next round. For the next round that's rolling in here. So as far as the models are concerned for the next round, let's see if I can update this for us. This should give us a good indication. I mean, it's doing a pretty good job at finding what's going on now. Let me update this really quickly. Bear with me. It's still not working. There's a little bit. All right, now it's starting to come through. Shows it out of here by 11 o'clock. There's 7 o'clock, the next line rolling right on through, pulling out of here by 7 or 8 o'clock. So it does show it rolling in the next 3 or 4 hours. It's just not really working too well for us. It's not showing us up until then. So let's get back to the radar, show you where we are. I'll answer some questions in here. Let's see, we go. We had hail come through Eastlake. Catherine, how big was that hail in Eastlake? How large was that? There's that. This is going to be a flash flood warning. This blue you're seeing, come on. This the red you're seeing in here, because of all the rain. The pink boxes that we do see, that do come out, those are tornado warnings. So if you saw this red box pop up, that's a flash flood warning. So it's not a tornado or anything like that. I will show you velocity just to show you what's going on. And if we're looking for any concern or anything like that, there's just not enough wind with it right now. Just not enough wind with it right now. So there's that flash flood warning for the heavy rain that's rolling through. Okay. Quite a bit of rain. We can show you how much rain has fallen over the last even 6 hours. So we'll get rid of what's going on, what we had earlier this morning. We'll get rid of that, and we'll just show you what's fallen in the last 6 hours just with this cluster that's rolled through. Euclid, over an inch. Man, that's some heavy rain. Yikes. So yeah, big time rain over the last 6 hours. So that excludes what happened earlier this morning. If you want to add in what's happened earlier this morning, that's where you get in on some big time rain, because Euclid got hit with some heavy rain earlier, and we're waiting for that to find some place to go, right? Another inch or so. So that's our biggest concern with that. It's heavy rainfall in a shorter period of time. Dime to nickel size hail in Willowick with that first storm around 12:45. Almost a couple that were golf ball size hail. Golf ball size hail. That's large. That's very large. Man, hopefully there wasn't much of that. That's huge hail, golf ball size hail. That's like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, I think, right around there. That's big hail. That's big hail. Big damage. A lot of cars with golf ball size hail will get damaged. The warnings now, there's only one warning. It's for this cluster with the potential for hail like we had. We've had the reports, dime to nickel size hail. That's with it pushing through the east side of Cuyahoga County, rolling into Lake and Geauga counties right now. We'll zoom in on it. We'll put a track on it. Honestly, the stronger part of this whole thing is near Parkman. That's a huge storm right there. And it looks like it still might be strengthening. Let's put a line. Let's put a... There we go. Whoop, get off there, lightning. Let's see if we can put a track on this whole leading edge. About 30 miles per hour. Puts it at Kirtland at 2 o'clock. I mean, come on. Kirtland's already, Concord, you're already getting in on some heavy rain right now. Chardon as well, just to the north of you, you've got some heavy rain. But this next line rolls right on in at about 2:15, so within the next 15 minutes. Let's put the lightning tracker on here. Check this out. This is my concern. This is my only concern for the Browns starting at 2:15, 2:30, right there. See that little guy? Now, it's been worked over. It's been very worked over already, so I don't anticipate this to get much stronger, but any lightning with it will essentially start that clock over again, potentially. So the bulk of the big storms are out of Cleveland, so that's the big concern with that out there. Oh, man, delivering mail in Ashtabula County. Hope it missed us because otherwise you'll be able to survive. It's not going to miss you, man. Joking aside, in Ashtabula, you've got some strong storms headed your way. Rain, of course. You already have light rain. You've got heavier rain. You'll have a few of those rumbles rolling in. And then this will go through some different kind of life cycles that'll rain itself out before it gets to Ashtabula County. But it's still pulling in some fuel. So it's something that definitely if you live in Ashtabula County, I want you to watch it closely. But it probably isn't going to look the same as it does right now. Any other questions here? Ford Mustang 1969. Wow. Look at a picture on that. That is a flash flood warning, not a tornado warning. No velocity feedback really, or no indications that anything is rotating with that, and they've had so much rain on the east side of Cleveland into Lake County. Man, heavy. That is some heavy rain. I think I can show you, this might take me a minute, but I'm going to try to show you the camera that we have for Fairport Harbor. There's that downpour. Look at that burst. This is off on the west side. This is looking toward the sun over the stadium right now. That's that downpour up over the lake. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to show you guys, I want to see if I can pop up my other computer here and show you what's going on with Fairport Harbor right now. This might take a second to get it going, but I'll get it as soon as possible. I just got to update the map here, update the camera, refresh it. All right, so there we go. Now I got to pull it up for you. So this is what I'm looking at for Fairport Harbor on the east side in Lake County. Clearing up over the lake. Look at that heavy rain. That's that line rolling in. We're going to watch this camera. Look at the wind. Look at the windsock there. There's not much with it. That windsock is almost hanging straight down. I mean, that's really indicative of how much strength these storms have. They don't have that much fuel into them. Typically, if you had a storm just away from this, you would either have the wind blowing away from it, or if it's in the right spot of it, you would have some wind blowing toward it, maybe fueling it. It's not. And it's not a paused frame. There's birds flying around. So if you're looking at Fairport Harbor, you're right here. There's Fairport Harbor, Paynesville. That camera was looking this way, looking out towards the wide open lake, and then that downpour trying to roll in. A lot of thunder and lightning with it. This would, by this time, have wind pushing away from it if these storms were going to be damaging from wind, but they're just not. They're just not. And there is, man, there's a lot of, here, let me hide the lightning so you can see. That pink in there, just offshore, that's going to roll right on that north coast. There's no warning for it, but there's where your big hail is, up over the lake. There's your big hail right there. Okay. Put it in motion so you can see the direction it's going. Look at it. That's not coming on shore. That's not coming on land. That's going to stay right up over the water. See you later to that one. Good. Good. We don't want that. Good. We don't want that at all. We don't want that at all. Big time flooding though, flood warnings, flash flood warnings. So that means water's coming up quickly. It doesn't have anywhere to go. We've already had a bunch from overnight last night. You've got more coming down now. And just the runoff, it's a concrete jungle, right? It's not going to soak in this fast. It has to go to the low-lying areas, the flood-prone areas, your drainage areas, and those get filled up. So that's our concern with the flooding concerns for anywhere from Euclid, really the east side of Cleveland, all the way up into Paynesville. I mean, that Route 2 corridor right there, I mean, it had 2 or 3 inches. Snuck up on me, man. What do you got here? Resuming at 2:15, so in 10 minutes?
Yes.
Solid. Warm up or game? Are they out there now? Are they?
Game is what we're told.
Kick off at 2:15. Nice, good. So yeah, you saw it right there from the cruise. Good stuff. So if they're waiting for a distance from lightning for the game to get resumed, 2:15. You heard it right here first. I don't know if I was supposed to tell you that. Whoopsies, but I told you that. Man. You can't, if you can't hand me stuff, I'll say it. I'll read it out loud. So if you're looking for a distance for these storms, that's 10 miles away. No lightning behind it. We do have to watch this closely, but looks like it's going out up over the lake as well. So that's good news. That's good news. So that warning near Toledo. There's that next line. That's right on the heels of it. But it is, I mean, we can time it out also. We could time this out pretty good. You put this at to approach the game. It's 100 miles away. So that's about 3 hours away if it's moving 30 miles per hour, which it essentially is. So you got about 3 hours before that next round rolls into downtown Cleveland. It'll likely be strong. I mean, there's a good shot that it is strong. Look at all these. Look at all these little individual little pockets of downpours, pockets of lightning with it. This right here is the strongest portion. That's why you have that warning along the lakeshore. This is still strong. I'm going to zoom in on it because I know there's no warning for it, but there's a lot of lightning with it. And all right, showing some signs of weakening, which is good. No more of those pink colors. You've seen the pinks that are pushing into Geauga County right now, along like what, Route 6? Is that what that is? You're not seeing it from Nelson to Mesopotamia up to Windsor. This is heavy rain. A lot of lightning. Don't get me wrong, a lot of lightning, but you're not seeing the big, the potential for hail like we are a little bit farther to the north. Peck's Corners, Pleasant Valley. Through Chardon, just to the south. I think that's Route 6, North Munson, Fowler's Mill, Gates Mills. Man, that's some heavy rain. All right, how much longer for Medina? How much longer before the next round rolls in? Let's see here. Because Medina doesn't really have any warnings or anything like that. There are some downpours with it, but it's about the same realistically. Yes, sir?
Take the phone if you're-
Yep.
Video.
Thank
sir.
you. You're welcome. So here's Medina County. Your you have downpours, you have some rumbles of thunder with that. Definitely worth keeping an ear out for. I always say it. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to get struck. Lightning doesn't have to strike where it's raining. It often doesn't strike where it's raining. Hence a bunch of the fires out west. When I was out west, we used to get them all the time. Wildfires that would start up from thunderstorms. The lightning would strike outside of where it's raining, and it's that dry out there. It would spark fires up. So if you're talking about Cleveland and them starting in about 15 minutes or 5 minutes here, that lightning's only about 10 miles away. So again, I can forecast the weather, we can talk safety and stuff like that, but forecasting the decision makers' decisions, that's where you start getting in trouble. So that's what we got with that. Here's this look at this little guy pushing through like York and Sandusky. See how it had some lightning with it? Let me go back an hour. We can watch the whole life cycle of this little storm right here. I've been keeping an eye on it. It's just a downpour right now. Look at it. Nothing, nothing, nothing. 3 strikes, nothing. That's what these storms are going to do. There's just the front is still so far back until they can really get going. They just don't have the ability to get things going really well. Ooh, what was that about? We went to Pennsylvania. Okay, so full wrap-up, or not wrap-up, but a full kind of a recap of what's going on with this. We had some warnings to our just to the south of the Cleveland metro area across that Akron-Canton region. If you haven't been paying attention, we started this whole thing where we can dive into different regions. The Akron-Canton region has been getting in on some pretty strong storms. Those have weakened. This line right here, sliding across. I haven't seen any indication of winds any stronger than 50 miles per hour. I haven't seen any reports. If you have reports, put them in the comments. They pop in right here on my screen, and I can see them. So if you have reports of like trees down or power outages or anything like that, let me know. Let me know about it, and we can spread the word. But I haven't seen any hail like that or any concerns. Fast Eddie, here we go. Pea-sized hail in Mayfield. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. I'm not looking at the potential for anything too crazy. We had one report of golf ball size hail, which is going to be very rare with this. That's going to be very far and few between to have hail that large. The overwhelming majority with this is going to be probably pea to dime size hail. Even though there are warnings, it's the potential for it's the potential for a quick strengthening, and it might drop that 1 inch size hail. 1 inch is the criteria for damage. So pea size hail in Mayfield. Thank you for that. Yeah, Christina. I'll tell you what. When people ask me questions about what other people are going to do about the weather, it's so. I mean, I know what I would do. I don't have anything to hide. I'm honest with everything, every question. But forecasting what they're going to do is always a challenge. Tyler, Brick, you've got a weather camera in Brook Park I can use. Man, send me an email. I'd love to use it. I would absolutely love to use it. If you shoot me an email, trent.magill@wews. If anybody has any weather cameras or any weather observations, any reports or anything like that, send them to me. Send them to me. I'll send you back like a release kind of type thing, like an approval. And then we can use it. We can use it on the air. We can use it on social media. So Tyler, I would appreciate it, man. Yeah, send me the link to the weather camera, and then we can go from there. Good stuff. Thank you. It's getting windy west side of Akron, suddenly dark, getting windy in Portage Lakes. Yep, that's that line. Let's see here. Let's go down. Let's go south. That's that line rolling through. Let's pull up the Akron camera. This is what I'm looking at. This line right here rolling into Akron, Portage Lakes. There's no warnings with it. As far as wind is concerned, we might get some warnings, but you might have 40 mile per hour gusts with it right now. You might have 40 mile per hour gusts with it. That might be about it. I can pull open there's Fairport Harbor. The wind is not impressive at all with that cluster that's moving up over the lake. Here's Akron. Getting dark, definitely getting dark. Definitely getting dark out there. So that's the good news with this. Is that the darker it gets, you limit the fuel and it can stop creating fuel, you know. Worcester back behind this, Wayne County. If you're looking at Wayne County, can I put my email in the chat? I don't think I can because I'm not on the chat. I'm on a whole nother program. So Tyler, I can't put it, I can't type it, but I can, I don't know how to get it to you. Maybe I can put it on the screen. I don't know, man. I will shoot me an email. Have your parents, because I think you're 14, have your parents work with you and email me. Just trent.magill@wews.com. I know you're really into the weather, into forecasting and everything, kind of a weather enthusiast. So we'll get together, man. There's that cluster near Champion. We've been watching. No warning for it, but we knew it was getting stronger with all that lightning. It did show a sign of weakening, but it's moving into air that's untouched. So the last couple scans gave the National Weather Service enough information, enough confidence to throw a warning on it. Parkman over toward Cortland. A lot of lightning with it. Just not showing a bunch of wind with it, which is interesting. Oh, there's a little bit of wind. All right, there we go. Near Nelson, we're starting to see maybe a couple little pockets in here. Oh, come on. 40 mile per hour wind gusts. We need 60. We need 58 is the criteria for warnings. But clusters like that, even though the radar is showing you 40, you see something like that, a quick burst like that, that's where that storm was strengthening. It very well may be kind of collapsing and giving you some pretty big gusts with it. Really not much wind when we're talking about Geauga County. None with Lake County, really. Might see some 40 mile per hour gusts. Yeah. Not seeing a whole lot with that. Are we getting some more bad weather west side of Cleveland later? Yep. Yes. Well, this next line will roll through. Nick talking about rotation in Chardon. No. So all these storms are rotating, if that makes sense. And I hesitate to say that because they're not rotating like tornadic. They're not looking like that. But when you get a line like this and you get like a flow, essentially something like this that's flowing and pushing through, just like a river, when it's pushing, you're going to get these little spins on the side of them. So you have that potential. Not necessarily with this one. I'm going to watch it. It does look interesting, but it doesn't look like there's anything tornadic or anything like that with it. No, not near Chardon. Lots of thunder. Yeah, here we go. All right, so Betty confirms right there in Geneva. Heavy rain, but winds not too extreme. There's just not a whole lot. I mean, there is a lot of lightning with this, but there's just not a whole lot of wind. Man, yeah, Geneva, here you go, right behind me. Lit up. Bunch of lightning. There's that cluster staying up over the lake. Look at it trying to build a little bit closer. The main center of this is up over the lake, but look at it trying to build a little bit toward the lake shore. So right along the lake shore, you've got hail. I mean, when we're looking at things, the distance with this sometimes gets lost between the lake shore and the storm. It's 2 miles. That's nothing. That's no distance for a storm, right? That's essentially in the storm. Now the big hail, look at that bright pink in there. That is some big time wind out there, or some big time hail potentially. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll watch that. We'll watch that pretty closely. Looks like that's going to be something to keep a very close eye on. The potential for wind and hail or hail really, is a big concern with that. So that's something to keep a very close eye on. But it is just offshore. Let's hide the lightning. Bring in our threat detector. It's only showing 1 inch hail, but that's some bright some very big feedbacks, reflectivity numbers. That right there, that just right inside there, that's going to be big. Thankfully, it's offshore. When you get up into those 60s, that's a pretty good potential for some pretty good hail. Look at this. So so they did have kickoff at 2:15. Good stuff. Good stuff. There's that one storm just beyond downtown Cleveland. Just out there. Look at that. Look at that. There it is. Cleveland looks good. This is the storm. Just right behind me. Drier. No rain back here. There's that downpour. Boom, right there. And that is what we're looking at on the radar right here. That's looking at this. No lightning with it, thankfully. Tons of lightning near Fairport Harbor. See how this is growing into a line also? I mentioned this earlier this morning. If you're watching Good Morning Cleveland, this is kind of the potential. You get these individual storms that build. You get the heat, you get the humidity, and we get these individual storms that try to build and get strong, and that's where you get your hail threat. That's what we've been talking about. But once they develop into a larger line like this, then if they get working and get together enough, essentially, and can grow large enough, then you'll get this wind that just comes on the backside of it and kind of pushes. It'll redirect the jet stream, essentially, those upper level winds, down to the surface, and that's where we get some big wind. No warnings anywhere else, but as it tries to kind of develop into a larger line, that's really what we're gonna start looking at later on today. And by the time this line that's in Toledo gets here, that's probably what it's going to look like. Zooming out, look how unorganized this is. I'll go over the last 3 hours so we can all kind of look at this. Look how unorganized. This is just development. It's just like air mass thunderstorms developing along this line right here. There's another wave there. Another wave right there. Here's the main front back here. There's nothing behind it. This probably pushes through. I mean, all right, so this line, we can track it out. If this line is 2 or 3 hours away, then this line is probably 5 or 6 hours away. What time is it now? 2 o'clock. That puts it here at like 7 or 8 o'clock, which is exactly what the models were showing us just a little bit ago. Isn't that how it works? Isn't that crazy how it works out like that? It's pretty nice to have these waves developing west of us because we can see timing when we know when those are going to roll in. It's this cluster. I mean, look at these just building here. There's no like. It's very tricky, at least. I can't say there's no, but it's very tricky to see when these are going to pop up. I showed you this morning, right around midday, right between 10 and 2, we're going to see these develop. Between noon and 4, we're going to see some lines or some waves really developing, and then between like 4 and 8 is when we're going to see the potential for that straight line wind damage with those next couple waves. So it's coming out. It's shaping up to be a pretty spot on forecast. Bob Asick, Crusher's game at 7 o'clock. That's tough. It's on the back edge of it, so it's possible. The potential is there. The potential is ever there to dry things out by 7 o'clock. Crusher's game on the east or on the west side rather in Avon, definitely doable. Definitely doable. So I wouldn't cancel your plans yet, but I would have a backup plan just in case. Oh man, I just did. You probably typed that. There's a little bit of a delay. So there's a little bit of a delay with that. So absolutely. And there's a bunch of questions. You're welcome, man. You're welcome, Bob. Massillon just lost electricity. So here we go. That's one of my biggest wish it were better kind of situations. With warnings, with severe thunderstorm warnings, that means damage, right? That means you've got wind and hail. That's it. There could be one strike, or there could be a million strikes in the thunderstorm. Has no impact on the warnings or not. You need hail and you need wind. If there's a bunch of rain, then there's flash flood warnings and stuff like that. But if there's like this storm right here, if there's a bunch of lightning with it, if it didn't have wind or hail, then this huge lightning storm right here wouldn't have any warnings on it. So your phone's not going to go off. Your phone's not going to get alerted. That's what's happening for Akron, Massillon, Greene, Brewster, New Philly. Come on, there's no warnings with any of this stuff, but there's still lightning, and there's still the potential. I mean, one lightning strike can knock power out, can knock a tree down, can get a service station out. You know what I mean? So anytime you can hear thunder and there's lightning around, we're pretty much screaming this stuff always, because lightning is nothing to mess around with. What about Blossom? Ooh, a Blossom concert at 7 o'clock. That's tough. I think you're far enough south to where you're probably going to have some storms in the national park. That's really tough. Similar, I think by 7 or 8 o'clock, that final line should be rolling through, but it's not just going to shut down. I do think it's pretty messy. We got a few storms on Sunday also, or an isolated shot at storms also, but it is something that you want to pay attention to. That's for sure. Look at the clearing on the back side of that line. Sun trying to come out. Good stuff. Akron, there's your rain. Worcester on the back side of it. Doesn't look too bad. But this shows, all right, so this shows a lot of what's going on. So you see these thunderstorms, how they have these, or not these thunderstorms, these are just clouds, right? Yet, the flat bottom of that, this air, this warm, humid air is rising. Heat rises, and as it rises, it cools, right? And once it hits this point, that air that's warm or that's cooling as it rises, it condenses. So right here at this level, notice how they're all at the same level. That's the certain temperature with this amount of moisture and heat at the bottom. There's a certain amount of temperature. When you get high enough, all of a sudden, it starts. Condensation. You start getting that compression, that cooling essentially, and you get that bottom level. Then they keep growing, and they grow, and they grow. See how they're growing vertically with this? If you were to take a picture of it right now and then take another picture of it 30 minutes from now, this could be this tall. This one could be this tall. So we're just watching these kind of grow vertically. That's convection. This point right here is essentially the bottom of those clouds, of all these clouds, and then upwards, if they can have enough heat, they will continue to grow. That's instability. That's shown us that we have an unstable atmosphere. At this time of the day, with there being this much, it's going to limit how much more heating we can get, which is good news. We want to limit that heating, so we limit the fuel. But it is just to show a sign that we've got instability. Man, is that some heavy rain in Akron. There might even be some hail in there. Let's head on over to the radar. Yeah, it might just be pea-sized hail, if anything. Near Comet, heading into Greene, you might have had a little bit of hail through Canal Fulton. I saw some comments in here from Canal Fulton. Did you get any hail with that? The Browns game is back on. I see a comment about the Browns game. No, they are playing. They're good. They are good. I keep looking over there because I've got it underneath the monitor. Browns are driving. What am I telling you? We've got to put it on the TV. You can put me on your cell phone right next to you. You can just watch the stream right there, and I can give you information. And you can turn on News 5 right now because we've got the game on ABC. Yeah, so this warning out here, pushing through Geauga County, diving into the reflectivity or the velocity of it, there's not much with it. There is some in Champion, but again, that radar is way out there. It's 3,000 feet up, so they might have some pretty strong wind pushing through Champion right now. There's not much pushing through Geauga County. And if we're looking at our potential for hail, you're probably going to see a couple little pockets of it Yeah, a couple little pockets. You're looking for these brighter colors in here in your Fowler's Mill. But as far as 1-inch size hail, I'm just not seeing it. And I'd say 1 inch because 1 inch is the criteria for it. Yeah, not much wind. Spartans and Heroes, hard rain in Newbury, but it's dying down, not much wind. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of wind with this. William, good question. When the clouds go higher up in the atmosphere, can that also mean larger hail? It correlates but doesn't cause, if that makes sense. The updraft, the upward force, will grow that thunderstorm even taller, and if it has a strong enough updraft to grow it taller, then it can hold that hail up larger. And that's all that's going on. That's the only thing that you get with hail is you have a large or a strong updraft, and what it does is that when you make those raindrops, it pushes them high enough up into those clouds to where they freeze. Once they freeze, they get a little heavier and they start to fall and they'll melt a little bit. And if you have that updraft, it'll push it back up. So it's kind of like a trampoline, essentially, like nature's trampoline of just going up and down, freezing, melting, freezing, melting. And as it does that, that's why they have those little like ridges on it if you were to cut a hailstone in half. That's why those little circles, like tree rings, kind of. It'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and can get larger. So the stronger the updraft, the taller those storms, and the larger that hail, or the larger the hail can get supported, like the heavier it can support, if that makes sense. So yeah, correlated but not caused. Good question. It's all about the updraft. All right. Yeah, there's Massillon. There's no power in Massillon right now. Let's see if we can. I've got a power outage map. I want to see if I can pop up here. Man, Akron's getting dumped on right now. Come on, load up for me. It's not showing up on my map here, but it's probably just too recent. The only thing I'm seeing right now is 900 people. So not many power outages with this. I have a larger map. Let me show you a larger map of current power outages. And this will show you across the entire area. Yeah, that makes sense. Because we had the big wind, or big hail rather, and some heavy rain. So 4,500 folks in Cuyahoga, 100 in Lake, 900 in Portage. We'll probably see more along the 77 corridor as we go through the next hour or so. You have power in Massillon. Somebody said earlier that the power was out. So that's good. So some folks in Massillon do, some folks don't. Light rain in Canton. It's about to get heavier. It's about to get a lot heavier in Canton. That line, that lightning is all behind it right there. But the heavy rain pushing out ahead of it. And that's another interesting thing, is when you get this that's not, I mean, all this lightning is back behind it. The storms are pushing out ahead of it. So it's not a good indication. Deerfield. Right here, Deerfield, just had a comment about Deerfield. On the back side of that, a lot of lightning, had a bunch of lightning. There's still some out ahead of it. Now those flashes are the new strikes, that are coming through. And with the storm heading out ahead of it, this is where the lightning was essentially, like I think 15 minutes ago. I think it's the last 15 minutes of strikes with that. So let's not forget about our northern edge of this whole line. where there are the warnings. The flash flood warning is in effect through, let's see here, through 6 o'clock. Man, and there's going to be more rain, so that's probably going to see more. There was hail and deer. Laura, how large was that hail? That was a big storm that pushed through. How was it, pea size or dime size, or did you get up to quarter size hail? Yeah, all right, so Ashtabula also. So while we're waiting for Laura to respond with that, I want to talk about extremely loud. Let's go, Deborah and Ashtabula. You know, I'm so bummed we don't have our camera in Ashtabula anymore. We need to get that back going because it would show a ton of rain. You'd say quarter size? So yeah, nice. Laura, quarter size hail. That's large hail in Deerfield. So that's the potential for damage. If it's quarter size hail, the size of a quarter, that's enough for some damage. So that's that storm right there. And look at that thing. That's going to get a warning next. I don't issue warnings. Near Shilltown, it's just so small. It's just such a small little cluster. But, I mean, we'll turn the lightning off on it real quickly, and we'll look at our threat detector, and it's going to tell us 1 inch hail. So, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. You get those little clusters like this. Right there, that's a little, so there's where your updraft is, pushing kind of at an angle, essentially, angling this way and blowing the top of that storm, right? So you're probably, if you're in like Christietown and you're looking north, you can probably see a huge anvil cloud, a huge cloud that's built up and then blowing off the front. And then right on the back there, that's where you have your downdraft pushing on the back side of it and your hail core pushing up on the inside of it. Tyler, thanks, man. I will check my email and I will try to get that on there. Appreciate it. Larry, Dover is getting slammed. Wind, heavy rain, and a lot of cloud to ground lightning. CG is cloud to ground lightning. Yeah. You probably have some hail with that also. Let's see here. Well, yeah, probably just not as large as what we were looking at in Deerfield there. Near Dover. How big is that hail? How big is the hail you're getting, or are you getting hail? It's probably pea to dime size hail. It needs to get a little bit more organized for quarter size hail, like what you're seeing with this right here near Ellsworth. Man. Now that is just out of our viewing area, which is, I just heard thunder here in Cleveland. There's that storm. Let's turn the lightning on. Let's see what we have. There it is. There it is. There's that little storm. That little guy right there I was talking about. We've been watching it as it was kind of rolling on through here. One little rumble right there. One little rumble. Good stuff. All right, so a couple warnings left. Our next wave of warnings probably going to be pushing for Tuscarawas into Carroll County. Might even get, so here's the thing, is with this thing right here pushing toward Youngstown, another one pushing toward Alliance, this isn't going to have as much fuel to try to push through. So that's kind of the concern, is that I don't think, I hear thunder as well, West Cleveland. You probably heard that rumble. So this is what I'm talking about. When thunder roars, go indoors. West side of Cleveland, 10 miles away. Yeah, you absolutely heard that. So there you have this next round that's trying to roll in here. That's your next little burst of some heavy rain. It's going to essentially, with this ahead of it, all this line ahead of it, this isn't going to have as much fuel. Now, there's a bunch of lightning with it. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be weak by any means, but as far as continuing to strengthen, it makes it very tough for it to do that. It can, but it just makes it tough. It makes it a bit kind of limited to how much there is. Okay. So, behind it. This is what I was just trying to I got distracted by that thunder that we heard. But here's the activity behind it. Here we go. Mansfield. Let's put this back in motion for us. Just so you can see how fast these storms are building. Look at that. Just within the last hour, that little guy, that one right there. We're going to watch these little bitty pop-up thunderstorms over the next probably a couple of hours. This is the next line. Should roll in. It very well, because we haven't had strong storms on the west side yet. And I want to show you, I don't know actually if I can show you, but I want to pull up something. If you get into weather, if you're a weather enthusiast, and we're talking about energy, talking about the available energy for thunderstorms, then it's something called CAPE. It's called Convective Available Potential Energy. See this right here? I'm showing you this right on the air. This is some behind-the-scenes stuff. You see how there's some blue up over the lake? That's just a little bit of essentially, it inhibits that. This is what I'm watching. There's got to be a better view for this. So basically, that's the amount of energy we have available for storms to develop. And what we're looking at with that is to see how much energy there is. There's a lot. There's a lot of energy. Actually, I don't even think I need to show you that. I think I have it on my maps also. We've got a potential to show you that through just our regular graphics here. Maybe, potentially. What I'm looking at is to show you just how much, essentially, is how much moisture there is, or how much energy there is, heat there is back behind it. It's the same product. Over the next, it's just not really showing as much. But anyway, what we're looking at, what I'm getting at is that we do have a lot of fuel back here. And you can see that with these thunderstorms building up. You saw where those numbers were a little bit higher. Again, this is where we're looking at for more thunderstorm development. So this line right here that's trying to move in where it's cleared out. You saw the sun out there on the cameras. I mean, I can show you some of these cameras across the islands. It's pretty bright. I mean, it's definitely, here's Fairport Harbor, rainy, still raining on the east side. When we go to the west side, look at this. There's Marblehead. We got folks out just enjoying the day. Look how blue it is. So that's going to allow for just the atmosphere to destabilize. It's going to allow for things to destabilize. Touchdown, Browns, 7-7. So with all these little thunderstorms trying to develop, they're eating all this fuel up. Yeah, blue sky and heavy rain in Menor. Yeah, that's this line. Depending on which way you're looking, you've got, it's cleared out. I mean, this is wide open. This is just, it's just open. It's just sun. It's fueling. It's heating up. So when we're talking about rain and sun, you can have sun looking to your left, your southwest, and then looking to your northwest. And Menor, you've got some heavy rain. So it really depends on where you're looking. The only warnings right now are for, in our viewing area at least, is Geauga, parts of Lake, and heading into Ashtabula County. But I'm going to be real with you, this doesn't look damaging at all. I mean, heavy rain and a bunch of lightning, but as far as damaging with wind and hail, I'm just not seeing it. I am south. Look at this storm near Deerfield heading into Youngstown. This was that supercell, that thunderstorm that had some big hail with it. It still does. Whoa, there we go. Had a little weird data gap in there. 1.5 inch hail. Canton. Let's go. There's your downpour. We're just talking about how it's light rain, going to get heavier. That's North Canton. So that's it. There's your line rolling through. Warnings are up here, but the warnings are on areas that, honestly, I don't expect to really create much more in the way of damage. This area has already been worked over. You've already had a bunch of rain. There's not a lot of fuel left over. Where it clears out behind it, that's where we'll see some more storms developing, probably from this next line that's trying to roll on in here. There's that warning. We told you about it. We told you about it. You know what's next? This Dover area, New Philly, Strasburg, East Sparta, eventually. Waynesburg will be in the next one. There's the next one likely, if you're in the path of that one. Over the next probably 15, 20 minutes, we'll see that one potentially growing stronger. Because there's nothing in front of it, right? There's nothing really stealing a lot of that fuel. Hartville and Marlboro within the next 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Samantha in Dover, are you okay? Yes. Yes, you're okay. Let's zoom in on it. Dover's on the back side of it. It's past you. Bunch of lightning. But the strongest part of that storm is north of Dover, is north of you and sliding out. So you're on the back side of it in Dover. You're good. Sugar Creek, Joyce, Black Band, New Philly even. Yes. Mineral City, though, on the leading edge, it's coming your way. Magnolia, East Sparta, Bolivar to Johnstown. This is what I'm looking at. That's that cluster right there. That's where the potential for your hail is. It's past the ice. Wait, hold on. Yes, okay. My monitor's a little funky. There's 77 that goes that way through Dover and New Philly. This is just past the I-77 corridor, so if you're west of 77, you're good for now. More storms later, but you're good for the next couple of hours probably. If you're east of 77, I'm watching this. There's not a warning for it, but there's some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and some hail. Lisa, if you're watching Good Morning Cleveland, I told you all yesterday morning. Yesterday's the day for all of it, so I'm glad you were watching. All right, is Ravenna in that warning? Michelle, let's zoom in on it. No. Depends on where you are. All right, so the way it works is your cell phones, essentially, if you're getting alerts, your cell phone is pinging a tower. If that tower is in this box, then you're going to get that warning. So there is a little bit of a buffer on the outside of that. It will sort of include a little bit on the outside as far as your phone warnings are concerned, which is way better than it used to be. It used to be if the county was included in it, then the alerts for the entire county would go off. And that's why you get stuff like this, where they try to avoid an entire county. They try to avoid Summit County from getting in any of this warning. But if you zoom in on it and they draw the line just a little bit, a half a mile into the county, whole county gets included in that. That's the way it used to be, not anymore. Not anymore. So that's the good news. There's still some like weather alert radios where you can program it to the counties, and the county will, if there's a warning anywhere in the county, it'll get it. But most cell phones nowadays don't deal with that. I walk and ride the bus. Look at that lightning. Yes, ma'am. There's that next warning. All right. It's not, yes, there's a warning, but there's not, there's a bunch of lightning with it. Don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of heavy rain and a whole lot of lightning with it, but I haven't had any reports of large hail. I've had pea-size hail. Haven't had any reports of large hail with this line. With this line. I'll turn the lightning off. I'll turn our threat detector on here. P, dime-size hail. Maybe some larger hail. We're going to look at some of the reflectivity, but it's not looking like it's going to create a ton of hail. Like this storm pushing through Austintown, pushed through Deerfield earlier. This storm has some large hail with it. It's out of our viewing area. It's sliding away. It's building as it slides farther and farther east. So yeah, that's a big thing to watch for sure. Also near Warren, south of Champion. Another large storm. Mecca, maybe some hail with that. But there's no real wind with these. The warning for Ashtabula County, that all faded away. I had a question about Chardon. How about Chardon? You've got heavy rain and lightning, but there's no warning. And it should fade away. Yeah, you're all right. So you're done with the rain now in Chardon. For now. You're not done for the rest of the day, but you're done for now. Pea-size hail in North Canton. Okay. And that's in that warning. That's with that cluster in Stark County. Turn the lightning off. Pea-size hail. That's what we expected. It's not very focused. It's kind of generalized. So the reason Deerfield had that large hail, or the potential, it had that big storm, is that it was all just growing in one portion. This is sort of broad. It's not very focused. It's not very organized. This whole line is not really organized. So yeah, there's some big rain with it. There's some big lightning with it. But wind is not a big concern. And your hail threat just isn't really there. Hey, there's some inflow. How about that storm? I told you it was like a supercell. They grow and they rotate. Here's your inflow. Here's your storm. Here's your leading edge of it right there. That's a supercell, a rotating thunderstorm. Now, granted, the radar is 3,600 feet up by the time it gets here. So it's not looking at surface rotation. This is looking at something elevated up in the mid-layers, the mid-levels of that storm. So you're going to get that rotation on a storm like that. Yeah, there's that line. This is going to eat a lot of the fuel. This one right here, near Atwater, is going to eat a lot of the fuel that storm from North Canton and Hartville is rolling through. You can click right on it, put a little track on the strongest portion of that. The biggest potential, like I said, this has hail. We know it has hail, but the potential for large hail, severe hail, is 60%. So that means 1-inch size hail. The potential to get up there is a pretty good shot, but you might see some 1-inch size hail with that. Puts it in Atwater, so that's putting that hail core, the strongest part of the storm, not just the leading. You're going to get the rain, you're going to get that heavy rain out ahead of it, but as far as the, let me get all this stuff off right here. It's going to let me do this. Click too many times. Anybody ever do that? Click too many times and you freeze up your system? Show of hands. There we go. Now it's back. So that's what we're looking at. Dark and Deerfield again. Yeah, you got another line. Not going to be as strong as that last one. It's right there. Another line rolling right on through is going to follow right on the heels of that one. So it'll stay limited. Still strong, still heavy rain, still some gusty winds, but shouldn't be damaging. This cluster right there, we'll watch that. It's a pretty good line, pretty good little storm. Look at this weaken on the leading edge and re-strengthen right back on the backside of it. Look at that. That's pretty rare to see it do that. I know I said back on the west side of 77, you're in the clear, but look at that. That storm just developed right on the heels, right in the wake of that. Man, there's so much energy out there. Look at it. This has faded, while this, in the last 30 minutes, look at it grow. Last 15 minutes just bubble up. A lot of fuel out there. Pea-sized hail in Massillon. Thank you very much for that. Tornadoes expected? No. Not likely with this. I say that. It's possible. These storms are all spinning. These are all individual thunderstorms that are trying to spin out ahead of it. With this stuff, not likely, but you're going to get these little... Here, look at this. These are supercells. These are supercells developing. Look at this little storm faded away. Near Deerfield, this little storm's going up. Look at that right there. That's showing, that's the downdraft on the backside with the updraft on the inside of that. Now, there's no tornado warning for this, but these are spinning thunderstorms. And you can see, they're going to have little tiny hooks on these little guys. They're not large thunderstorms. They're not large enough to give us like huge tornadoes or anything, but they definitely warrant watching. There's not a lot of real good flow into it. Like it's kind of, it's getting messed with, so the strengthening portion of that isn't very clear. But yeah, it's definitely something to watch as it kind of gets wrapped up. Cyclonic rotating? Yes. Yes. It's very rare to get anticyclonic rotating. So this is all rotating. If you're looking at it from like the ground up, it's rotating clockwise. Looking at it from the top down, it's rotating counterclockwise. Look at that little spin. I'm going to watch that very close. I'm going to send a couple quick messages here, but okay. Couple warnings. Pretty active, right? This is that initial wave. We had so much, trying to explain this and trying to look at this yesterday with the models, showing that if that early morning round rolls through early enough and we get a little bit of a break, then we're going to get some fuel. And this is that mid-wave line that we've been talking about that's just developing. What time is it even? It's 3 o'clock right now, so it's been going for about 3 hours, 2.5 hours. Midday, it developed, rolling into this fuel, and that's why it's strengthening. Look at that. Canton all the way up through Aurora, pushing over to Champion. That's, I mean, everything north of that is faded away. There's still some heavy rain and some thunder for sure, but it's all pretty much farther to the north. So we'll keep that in our mind. There's your next little flood advisory. Let's not forget about the flooding threats also. This is, all right, real quickly. I don't want to scare anybody. I didn't want anybody to, I'm not forgetting about this storm right here. See how it's moving north? See that little bit right there? This storm is just going to eat it up. The whole line is just going to eat it up. So it's something we'll watch for sure, but Not nearly as interesting as it was a little bit ago. That's why we do this, man. Eric, we can do it all. We can watch the Browns game. You can turn me on your phone. You can turn my volume up. You can turn my volume down. Put an earbud in. If you hear me mention your town or whatever, you can turn me back up or whatever, anything, you know. So it's just something we can watch. We can do this. Isn't this whole day and age? I feel like I'm getting older, but this is some pretty cool technology. Streaming it on YouTube and Facebook and everything. I know for the kiddos, this is just like it's like another thing. Everybody streams everything, but this is the way we're going. I love it. I absolutely love it. You can do it all. Where's the actual cold front right now? Hey, good question. It's way back west. It's way west. This is, you're going to notice a different direction in the flow, a different direction in the wave right here. There's a pretty good wave there, but you see how these are kind of on the back side of it going this way? And your front's still way back there. Way back there. Next line could be pretty strong. If there's any indication for how these are, how strong were the next line, where there's an indication how much fuel is out there. There's quite a bit of fuel out there. Samantha, sorry, no, I don't mean like, yes, interesting as in it's piqued my interest. It's something that I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm not like, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. That storm is getting a little feisty, so we're definitely watching it. But not as much anymore, because it looks like, is it going to let me do this? Looks like that is going to get, its inflow is going to get kind of messed with. Just pushing right there. So you're good with that. And I think you're in Dover, right? You're in Tuscarawas County. Yeah, you're on the back side of that. As far as lightning is concerned, yeah, you've got some lightning for sure. But there's no warnings. The big hail is a little farther to the north. And I'm not even seeing any reports of big hail. We had golf ball size hail report from that earlier. That would have been very rare to see that. But yeah, these storms have had some heavy rain. That's most heavy rain and a bunch of lightning. That's the biggest thing. And it doesn't matter how much rain there is on a thunderstorm. That'll give you a flood warning, right? Flash flood warning. It doesn't matter how much lightning there is, because there's nothing to do. There could be one strike, or there could be 1,000 strikes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any indication or any impact on the warnings. The warnings are for wind and hail, which I was talking earlier. I kind of wish there was a little bit, but you can't. I mean, even some of the storms with so much lightning don't have any wind, so there's no damage. So it's tough. No damage from wind and hail. So yeah, sunny in Sandusky. A little bit of rain. Yeah. So you sent that. Let's see if I don't have access to that right now. I'll try to check that out after the stream, Tyler, and we'll see if we can get that weather stream going. Next line, way back here in Sandusky, you said we have, where I saw a report from Sandusky. Can't find it. Anyway, yes. Sunny in Sandusky. I can show you the camera. We got a Marblehead look, sunny. But there you go. There's your next clouds are trying to come back in there. Let's look at Akron now. Is under that flood advisory. But look at it trying to brighten up on the backside. It just brightens up so quickly. Heavy rain. So Akron is not, sorry about that, I misspoke. Akron is not in that flood advisory. That's for like Parkman, Nelson, Shaler'sville, Manaway. Maybe some hail in there. Maybe a little bit of hail. Some of those brighter little pinks in there, just near Manaway. Right there. Right on that little pink dot. Put the mouse on it right there. Also here, moving into Nelson and Parkman. Probably some pea-sized hail with that. Huge storms. Man, look at these out here near Kinsman, Mecca, Cortland. That's probably some pretty large hail. Technically not in our viewing area, so we don't really cover it, but I'm talking about it. Champion, Warren, Cortland. I know that we're not restricted anymore because we're on a stream, right? We don't have viewing areas anymore, but it is something that I'm keeping an eye on. In Dover, Samantha, you're good. You're good in Dover. There's not much wind with it, so the wind scares. There's no reason for wind. There's no reason for the concerns with wind because there just isn't much. But that storm has moved on from Dover. There's a couple little pockets out ahead of it, or behind it rather, but they're moving through air that's already been pretty well worked over. The fuel's been burned, so yeah. So unorganized. All right, I'm going to put this in motion. I'm going to show you what's going on. There's so many influences with this. There's so many different influences. This storm right here, the push through Deerfield that we looked at, right? It piqued our interest. We were like, hey, we need to watch this little bit of a spin. Well, boom, got eaten up by this whole line that's rolling through. Now we'll watch it because as it does so, sometimes you get mixing boundaries and they might get a little burst of strength. It's possible. But this is mostly some pea-sized hail. I know there's a warning for it. Let's see if we can put the velocity on here for you. Yeah, there's some wind, starting to show some signs of some wind. We haven't had much. Let's pause this. We'll look at it. We'll see exactly what we have. 40, maybe up to 50. Let's zoom in. Let's try to find the highest amount of wind. And it just goes in little pixels, right? These little squares, essentially. These are what we're looking at. 45. 43. Maybe a gust. Let's see what this guy, what's this little pixel right there? 44. We need 60. 60 is where the damage line is. 58. So, how about this little cluster? Just near Randolph. This was that little line where that little storm was trying to roll through that had a little bit of rotation. Still not seeing much. It is sort of going in different directions. It's like a broad rotation with it. You see this is toward the radar and away from the radar, right? So this is fueling, pushing in, and this is blowing out. Storm relative. This means toward the storm and away from the storm. So that's that little bit of right there near Deerfield. So the main chunk of that storm was eaten by the main line. Over the last 15 minutes, it just fell apart. Now this, like I said, you've got this pushing right here. There goes this, it's still in there. This line rolling in here, it could give us a little bit of an intensity. It could give us a little boost of energy. Oh, absolutely. So weather is scary because it's the unknown, it's the uncertainty. The more you learn about it, the less scary it is. I don't know how many colleagues, any meteorologists colleagues that I know that were scared of. Katie McGraw, scared of storms growing up, learned about it. Now she's a meteorologist. I mean, she does our evenings. She's great. She's super smart. She's an awesome meteorologist. Started with fear. So the more you learn about them, the less scary they are. All right, lots of questions coming in from the east side, from the snow belt, Conneaut, Geneva, Madison. You've got a lot of rain. You got a lot of rain up there. Not a lot of thunder. A few rumbles. This is weakening. This was stronger earlier. You got some storms at 5 or 6 in the morning. Pretty strong storms rolled through. You had a line earlier, a couple hours ago, and then this is just the air so worked over. The severe threat's relatively limited. So that's good news. Still some strong storms up over the lake, but the lightning is fading away. The hail has faded away. And this is, you've got rain, yes, but only for probably another a couple hours, and then an hour realistically. Then it should be out of here. So that's good news. Good question. Yvette Wolf in Cedar Point. Hey, look at it coming in from Toledo. That's going to shut the rides down. Rain in general. Then you start talking about lightning. 20 miles away, 15 miles away. That puts it there. In 30 minutes? Yeah. That's enough to shut the rides down. That's some heavy rain, maybe even some hail. I have a camera, I don't have a camera. I have access to a camera. Let's see here. Let's pop up the camera in Ottawa County. It's down. Never mind. Crane Creek's camera is down. Port Clinton, we can show you Port Clinton. That's not going to show you much on that storm because it's not there yet. But here's Port Clinton. We're out taking pictures with the statue. So, not bad yet. But from the west, you've got some storms coming in. Here, check this out. The flag, where is it? Behind me. All right, so this flag out here is pushing away from that storm. So it's an outflow. It's pushing away from it, not pushing towards it, which is good news. Show you downtown. Looking good. Brownies. 140 left in the first half. Dried out. Good news. Dried out. So for Toledo, or for Cedar Point from Toledo, that's it. That's that line rolling in. That'll shut the rides down briefly, and then they'll open it back up, and then they'll probably get another delay. It's all about these waves, right, and where those waves go. The good news is that it does keep it weaker. That's great news. The problem with this, the reason that these got so strong is we didn't have any storms for a few hours. We had just sunshine and heat. It was beautiful the first half of the day. And you notice those clouds starting to build, and there we go. That's that activity building right back in there. Man, so let's zoom in on it. I'll show you where we are. Let's see if that thunderstorm where we were looking has strengthened at all. Man, this one has near Youngstown. That guy. That is just like the little storm that could. They go through cycles. They're called pulsing, essentially. They grow up, they get strong, they drop their halo, and they fall apart. Well, then they go to some more fuel. And as they move and they build farther east, there's no warnings with that guy, but there's got to be large. There's their next warning. Is that a warning? Yeah, that's a warning for that. Actually, it's a warning for the entire cluster as it heads east. But that right there is probably the most important, most little feistiest part of this whole line. Watching that part right there. Yeah, you're still getting some pretty good little inflow on that. That green, that's, man, look at that right there. That storm. It's out of our viewing area. Otherwise, we'd be talking about it a lot. But this right there, you're getting a little bit of inflow on that. So it's still strengthening. That's how you're getting that little notch in there. Remember, this storm was moving this way. This one right here, moving this way, had a little bit of a little tail on it that showed it's a good sign that it's indicating that it is strengthening. Well, there it is. As this next storm rolls in, it might give it just a bit of a, there it is. There's that little push. There's that back edge. So it's working that they're kind of growing together. And if they hit it the right moment, which we're looking at it, you get that little bow right there. You get a little strengthening on the backside, strengthening right there. That could be just enough. We got to watch that just north of Deerfield. There's no warning on it, but I want to watch that closely. The leading edge of that wind, it hasn't developed just yet. Those upper level winds haven't worked all the way to the surface just yet. What do we have here? Lots of pine trees around in Dover. Yeah, those pine trees have been growing for a long time. There's not enough wind with this activity, at least not in Dover. Yeah, no warnings or anything like that. Just these little clusters of storms with it. Okay. See how that lightning? This is strengthening. Yeah, definitely strengthening. So much light. I'm going to turn that off. Can't even see what's going on with that. So there's different sort of types of rotation when we're talking about this. There's really tight rotation that could produce a tornado, or there's also like a broad rotation. And this is, with this storm rolling through and this storm moving north, a lot of our strong storms, a lot of our like tornadic thunderstorms, they tend to develop on the intersection of boundaries, or a storm that's riding a different boundary. So that next little scan there doesn't look nearly as clear. Yeah, probably some pretty big hail with it. You're going to get some mixing upward. Man, look at that storm. Glad there's a warning on it heading into Girard. 1.5 inch hail. That's big hail. We're probably going to see this strengthen a bit before it weakens. Kind of show you the path with this. You're going to have two different little boundaries that develop, that grow together. Zoom out just a little bit and put this in motion so we can see what's going on with it. And you see how it kind of, right here, watch this line come in and this storm kind of building northward and it just pushing it. Now, it's a very broad rotation. I'm not expecting any big rotation with it, but it is broad, meaning that the tornado threat is very low, extremely low with it, but that's the only potential that I see of anything rotating like that. Unless you're looking at this storm near Youngstown, man, that's just a little, that storm is just, look at it strengthening again. Another life cycle, another pulse, another push, another vertical growth, another hail core developing. I mean, that is our next little, so next time I click on this little button here, this is going to be, the next little scan is going to be pushed a little bit farther to the east, and you're going to have a little bullseye essentially where that dark color is. It's about a scan behind. That's why you definitely can't rely on these products. That's big hail. Now, again, the radar is 4,000 feet away here. There's the next scan. Let's see if we can get another little chunk, another little look at it. Hasn't updated yet. Most of the warnings in our viewing area are not really in our viewing area. That didn't make sense. They're on the edge. They're on the very far edge. Start, Summit. Most of Portage County, you're pretty much fine. You're just looking at the leading edge of this. It's just this leading edge, and this is just kind of breaking apart. We had a brief little minute there where we might see something, but now that it's just the main line is just eating that little storm up. So that's good news with that. This one will do the same thing. It'll do the same thing. This one's building slowly this direction, right? This line will just roll through and kind of eat it up. So much lightning. So much lightning. Another little storm up over the lake. We can look at it. In 9 seconds till halftime. It's just to the side of the camera, right? Is that where that was? Yeah. So that's going to roll right in. Jeff, what's the red box up by Menor? It's a flash flood warning. Okay, so that's because of the rain you had last night, plus the rain you had earlier today, plus the rain you just got through. Let me show you why. Over the last 12 hours, that's a lot of rain. Anywhere where you get into those yellows, you can see up here, it's green with less than 2 inches. 2 inches is that the decider. I put that there on purpose when we were building this legend out here. Crazy to think, I've been here long enough that I built all this stuff. When we built this legend, we wanted 2 inches, because that's a very important number, to be the green to yellow. Well, once you get into 4, 5, 6, we blend it up into the red. Because once you get beyond 4 inches, it's impressive, right? There's no way around it, but it's less as the deciding factor. That's why we made that a hard cut. We do that on the wind as well, on your wind scale, essentially. When we're talking about straight line wind damage, let me get the lightning off here, and I'll show you where we are. Whenever we see goodness gracious, whenever we see the colors start to get brighter, then we know it's something to keep a close eye on. Whenever we see a pink, there's a pink color that'll show up. That's when we get 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we put that on purpose there, the pink, to show you exactly where where that is. Here's that storm near Girard, pretty strong storm. We'll get down to this other storm. Just the main line is eating that apart near Deerfield. Thankfully. I'm not interested in it anymore. If anybody was watching earlier and I said that is interesting, that's piqued my interest, that little supercell getting eaten by that squall line, that was interesting. It's not anymore. But there's still some pretty good wind with it, 40, 45 mile per hour winds, maybe there as well. But even some small hail with that also. The warnings are in place, but I've got your comments on here on the side here. We've got about 1,000 people watching into here. I've had hundreds of comments, and the reports are minimal. The reports are minimal. Lots of pea-size hail. Lots of pea-size hail and maybe dime-size hail. Only one report of quarter-size hail. Then I had golf ball size earlier, which it's got to be very rare because it didn't really support much of that. So that's big hail. That's big hail. Golf ball size is big hail. So yeah, But the severe weather threat, honestly, is very low. Is I don't have really much in the way of any concerns with this. And it's moving out of our viewing area. So with that, again, we don't really have viewing areas anymore, and there's probably some small hail with this, but I honestly don't think there's a whole lot left. There are still warnings, but if you are west of this line, I'm going to draw the whole line. Here we go. If you're back here, your threat is over. I know you're still under a warning, but your threat's over. Palmyra, you've got maybe some pretty good hail with some of that, where that storm was strengthening, where it was growing, where we said those two storms were growing together. You got that, but it's moving into Blanco, and it's moving on out of the viewing area. Stand by for 1 second. I've got to mute my microphone for 1 second. All right, we're back. Had to change a quick battery and check in real quick. But that's really, I mean, look at this stuff back here. Even though there's no warning for it near like Barberton, you get these little, there's so much sun behind it and so much fuel. I was showing you the energy, right? There's some hail with that. Look at that guy. Just south of Akron. Look at that. That thing got strong fast. Probably going to get a warning with that. The rest of this is sliding out. I'm going to go ahead and sound the all clear for anybody in like Portage County. Yeah. Look at that storm. Just blew up. Pushing through Akron right now. Oh, Akron camera. Let's go. Can't see anything. But did you see this? Did you see from Hilton? Yeah, pouring rain. Pouring down rain in Akron. So this is that storm. That's it. Little guy right there. Right offshore. With sun ahead of it, sun behind it. There's just so much sun out there. There's so much energy, so much heat. Hearing thunder in Cleveland. And the sun's out. Well, I heard it also. Right about the time that you made that comment. That's that little guy right there. Not showing up on our radar, but it'll pop in there. Is that building? It might be building toward town. Yeah, so this is kind of building toward town. This is breaking off right here. This might clip. It's halftime now. Right? Yes, halftime now. But one little cell can do it. All right. I'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, look at it. It's getting a little bit closer. You're going to watch it hit hit the little lighthouses there. Look at that storm. Get a little bit of thunder with it. It's halftime now, but hopefully that pushes through really quickly. All right. Yeah, it's raining now. There it is. You see the rain on the camera. Is that cell moving into Cleveland? There's the next scan. Absolutely. It's going to clip right on through. I've got the lightning turned on. I've got the scanner, the lightning counter and everything on. So yeah, man, I tell you what, folks at the stadium today, they're getting their money's worth. Getting their money's worth. There's the stadium right here, right on the mouse. There it is. Huntington Bank Field. Another little burst, sliding right on through. It'll be brief. It'll be brief. Other than that, let's see this line. These storms are just kind of pulsing and raining themselves out. You've got the other activity that's sliding farther and farther east. There's still warnings for like Randolph, but come on, those are going to be trimmed or canceled. Actually, let's see what time. 3:30. Now, that's going to disappear, and it's not going to be an issue. This storm, 3:30, the same thing. So the National Weather Service is just waiting for them to expire. So this will expire, this will expire. The warnings will be out of our viewing area. I want to that is some heavy rain. Man, that's some heavy rain coming straight down on them. Dumping. Akron, I want to show you Akron also. So Akron's they've got their umbrellas out behind me here. Let me get out of the way. You can see they just walked across the street with their umbrellas out. So it is definitely raining there, but I mean, it's tough to see with this. Tough to see with this. What's going on? Another burst, another round of rain, getting everybody excited again. It's brief, very brief.
Okay.
There's no thunder with it.
Okay.
Very brief. This little guy right here.
Just a quick little pocket and then it'll be done.
Just one little. Look at that little guy.
I'll tell them to hold their horses.
Yeah.
Be in and be out.
30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes,
Okay.
if that.
I'll tell them. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So those other warnings have expired as expected, and now there's one left over that's just a blanket on the leading edge of this, because they're all growing together, and this is where you're going to start to see some stronger wind heading into like the Youngstown area. It's also going to mess with the flow of that leading storm. We were just talking about watching this little guy right there. That's going to start. See how that's moving a little farther to the north? These are going to roll through and eat it up and break that apart. Okay, let's turn the lightning on real quick. Turn this lightning tracker on. Akron's little cell has weakened also. Had some hail, probably dropped it, or some heavy rain. Probably dropped it. There's not a lot on the back side of it. It's pushing through like Sandusky, Cedar Point. You got friends at Cedar Point, friends and family, shoot them a quick text. Say their rides are probably going to get delayed. Connie, question's never going to bother me. Leaving a hospital soon. Is there a gusty wind threat with the next storm coming in for Cleveland west side? It's a long way away. Any big wind threat is a long ways away for the west side of Cleveland. So leaving the hospital, you have no worries for a while now. Now again, we've been seeing these little things, these little guys like this just kind of pop up, right? So look at that little downpour. Pushing out. No thunder with it, but it's going to roll right on through Bratenahl, through like the shoreway here. Just dumping. More heavy rain. Just another one. So, yeah, there it is. Another burst. Another burst of heavy rain. Probably going to see some more flooding. All right, so with that, with the fact that other than the rain and some rumbles of thunder, there's no more warnings. I'm going to go ahead and take this off of our app. I'm going to take this off of YouTube, and we are going to wrap the stream up. Be careful. As I say that, there is more upstream. There's another couple of rounds. It'll give it a little bit of time. This line rolls through, this line rolls through, this line rolls through, and probably another one behind that. We're going to be tracking storms the rest of the day, and Phil Sakel just walked in the door. He's taken over, and he's got you covered. If these storms do strengthen again, he'll fire up the stream, so make sure you check in on our app. Make sure you check in on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff, and keep commenting. All right, appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Thank you.